All right, good evening. Gosh, I can continue to come to these briefings all of us do with the National Weather Service, and I keep hoping that I'll hear some good news that the track has changed, but that's simply not the case. This remains a catastrophic storm. You'll have an update here from a moment from Angie with the National Weather Service, and what you'll hear is people are asking about the eye. But where the eye is doesn't matter at this point. We are going to get really, really nasty weather. I'm talking to the people that still haven't evacuated, that are in those evacuation zones, ABC, the beaches. I was out at the beaches cities this afternoon. You still have time. Get to somewhere by midnight so you can hunker down and be safe. But if you are in an evacuation zone, if you are at the beaches cities, and you do not leave, you are making a really bad decision not following these orders. At some point, in the very near term, you will begin asking yourself, why didn't I leave? If you choose not to leave, please contact a family member, a friend, somebody that you know, so you can tell them that you chose not to leave and where you are. So on the other side of this, when we send in search and rescue, we know who stayed in those zones. Again, I want to remind this is a dangerous, life-threatening storm. Couple of administrative points. There will be no garbage pickup Friday or Saturday. Garbage pickup will resume on Sunday. And with that, and before Angie comes up, let me just say what a tremendous asset it has been to have her here with us, updating us personally as we prepare for this.
Hey, good evening. I'm Angie Agnetti with the National Weather Service. The latest 5 o'clock briefing has not changed. This is still looking like a significant storm for our area. Please heed the advice that you've been given by the emergency response officials. This is a significant impact. Life-threatening storm surge is still expected along our coastline. The magnitudes of the surge look like they're going to be about 9 to 12 feet along the immediate coast, with values of 9 feet pushing down the intercoastal waterway, as well as inland along the St. Johns River Basin to the Trout River entrance. Farther southward down here in downtown Jacksonville, actual surge values of 6 to 9 feet are looking more probable. And then pushing farther south down the St. Johns Basin towards NES Jacksonville, Ortega, and into Julian Creek, values of 3 to 6 feet. This is a significant rise in water, significant. On top of those surge heights along the coast, we're looking for wind battering waves of 20 to 25 feet. That will be very destructive. As you go higher up in the high rises that we have, not only in downtown, but actually along the coast as well, the magnitude of wind will increase. So there will be significant structure damage to those high rises. In terms of the wind speed and for timing, along the coast, we're looking for an increase in tropical storm force winds tomorrow morning between 6 a.m. and 10 a.m. Those are winds of coming up near sustained of 40 miles an hour. Between 10 a.m. and 1 o'clock in the afternoon, those sustained winds will increase to 60 to 80 miles an hour. And by 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock time frame, we're looking for those sustained hurricane force winds to push up off the coast. Again, these speeds will be increasing from the south to the north. The peak in intensity right now is looking like it's going to be tomorrow afternoon through tomorrow night for the wind speeds. The peak magnitudes inland, and when I say inland, I'm talking west of the intercoastal, are looking like 60 to 80 sustained with gusts up to 100 miles an hour. Along the coast, we're looking for sustained of 90 to 115 miles an hour with gusts to 130 miles an hour. So in addition to the surge, the wind is also going to be incredibly devastating, even to well-built structures. Rainfall amounts are also expected to be significant. We have values anywhere from 6 to 10 inches towards the coast, and then tapering off to 4 to 6 inches across the western part of the county. Please heed the advice of your emergency management officials. Please don't wait till tomorrow morning. This is a very significant storm. This is a storm that we will be referencing in our upcoming training modules for many, many years. This is what we're going to learn how to better prepare for. So please take the advice that you're receiving very seriously. This is going to be a catastrophic, life-threatening event.
Sheriff.
So just a quick traffic update. So we, as we've said, been monitoring traffic really out beyond 301 with our partnership with DOT and FHP. They've done an incredible job of helping us get that view beyond Duval County. obviously. And while we had some congestion earlier today on I-10, it continued to move all day. It is lighter today right now than it was even just a few hours ago. So there is still an opportunity, as the mayor said, to make that decision to get on I-10 and go westbound, and all of the other egress routes are also flowing. So we don't have any traffic issues that should hold anybody back. We're in good shape in terms of the traffic, and encourage people, again, take the opportunity, take this time to think about what it is you're doing. If you can get to where you need to be by midnight, please do that. If you wait beyond that, then you're going to need to hunker down and stay where you are until after the storm. So with that, I'll turn it back over to the mayor.
Director, did you want to speak to?
Thank you. Obviously, we have about 6 more hours before the weather continues to deteriorate. We have opened shelters. We have about 2,000 people in those shelters currently. If you need additional information, we'll be pushing that out through the media of those shelter locations. You can also call 630-CITY. If you still need to look at your evacuation zone, go to Jack's Ready, to the app, and determine what zone you're in. Once again, we are evacuating zones A, B, and C. Thank you.
I just want to add, I want to thank the governor, obviously, for his commitment to the entire state, but specifically to Jacksonville. Also want to thank the President of the United States. He signed the order today, emergency order. So we are grateful. We're all in this together. With that, we'll take any questions.
There was concern with shelters, Mr. Woodward, that there are no shelters east of or north of the Trout River, and we were getting calls, people concerned about that, and just wondering, are you anticipating opening more shelters throughout the evening as more and more people heed that evacuation notice?
You know, as long as we have shelters that have space available, we're going to try to get people to go to those. If we need to open additional shelters, we will. But we're still only at about 50% capacity of the shelters that we've opened. And with somewhat limited resources to operate those, we're going to try to use the big ones that we've opened already.
Does that worry you that we're only at 50% at this point? Should we be nearly full?
No, that doesn't mean that people haven't evacuated. It just means that they've gone to family, friends, or other locations, maybe not even in the county here.
Do you have any idea at this point, or at least estimation about how many people have evacuated from zones A, B, and C?
I don't, but I will say that what's important is that we have been beating this drum for days now, and we began an evacuation process. Gosh, what is today? Today, Thursday. We began an evacuation process early yesterday. We continued one today. So people know. They know they need to go, and they still have time to get somewhere and be hunkered down in a safe place by midnight. Whether they leave town or they go to a shelter, as the director stated, they're half full, or they go to a family or friend member's home that's in one of the other zone areas.
Do you anticipate more zones to be evacuated that maybe hear more later tonight, or do you have any idea?
Right now, we are on the 3 zones, and again, as there are no plans at this point, but we are monitoring. With a storm in this magnitude, we're just going to have to keep an eye on it.
And on that same line, for the people that are sheltering at home that aren't in those evacuation zones, what do they need to be doing right now? You know, are they, I mean, do you fear that they're going to be okay, or what can you tell them?
I mean, hunker down as of midnight tonight. Take care of your families. Hopefully you've gone out and you have your food and your water. Expect to be without power. That's going to happen. Look, we have a building full and a room full here today of emergency response, city and public safety officials that are prepared for this. But we're going to have to ride this out together and then come out of the other end of this together and put it all back together if we get the hit we expect.
I know you just talked to first responders. Are you really worried for them, their safety, and then what could happen on Sunday once the storm passes?
I mean, look, anytime members of public safety, police, fire, JEA, public works, at any given day, they can walk into situations that I certainly don't walk into, so that's always on my mind. Specifically going into a storm like this, absolutely. Sheriff and I spoke with them. We care about them. The whole city does. We'd be praying for them, and we want to make sure they're looking out for themselves as well.
That's right. You and your team have been crystal clear all day long about the severity of this event. Right now, it's close to 6 p.m. What would you say your biggest concern is? Is it that some people still aren't heeding to the warning? Is it that people are waiting too late? What would you say is probably
The people that there are people in evacuation zones that have not evacuated. That is based on 40-mile-per-hour winds, sustained 40-mile-per-hour winds, and we've not experienced that. But I want to reiterate this too. If you choose not to evacuate your area that we've laid out, if you're at the beaches cities, evacuate. If you choose not to, please make sure somebody in this city that you know knows you decide to stay. Because on the other side of this, we're going to have to send in search and rescue, and we're going to have to know where we're going and what we're looking for.
When you were down there, what was your feel? Did you see a lot of people? Did you feel like you saw a lot of people, or you saw too many people and you liked it?
I saw people in and around the beach. The folks that I talked to, by and large, said they were leaving. Small groups that weren't, I said, you got to go. I mean, this is going to be a bad, it's going to be a hit that you're not going to want to be a part of, and you'll regret it if you don't go.
Do you foresee any type of curfew here at all tonight? Has that been discussed, or what would happen?
I am not inclined at this time to impose a curfew. Certainly when you're facing an emergency situation, you have to leave all options on the table. But I'm not inclined, nor do I expect at this time to impose a curfew.
And I know, Sheriff, for the areas in Jacksonville that have been evacuated, people were concerned about their security there too. Beefed up patrols, what's happening there?
So we have a significant number of officers, obviously, out on the street involved in storm operations. We are still maintaining normal patrol operations as well. So we have lots of policemen on the street. Everybody knows the areas that have been evacuated, so we're keeping an eye on those. And we've also leveraged the Guard. So the National Guard will have a presence here beginning, I believe, Saturday morning. And so you'll see those guardsmen in areas as well to help us, again, keep those areas, safe as they're evacuated.
On mobile homes yet, and that's something that people were reminding me of. Is that a concern? I mean, if you're in a mobile home, even on the west side, should you be gone?
If you're in a mobile home, absolutely encourage that you seek either shelter in a home with someone that you know or shelter.
So evacuate.
Absolutely.
If you're in a non-evacuation zone, you still call 911 if something happens, right?
Oh, in an emergency situations, anybody and everybody should call 911. If they have questions, if concerns, issues, they can call 630-CITY. And I also, want to remind folks as we've been in this push over the last few days to get people to take this seriously, to pay attention, and to evacuate. A city is simply made up of people and families that are living their lives and working together and playing together. That's why we want everyone to take this so seriously. We are made up of people. We are one city. We all care about each other. I just want people to be safe. So if you're in that zone, in those zones, please leave.
Can you reiterate, too, how important it is if you see down power lines or anything power-related, don't go near it, don't touch it, don't
Yes.
walk on it, don't get out of your car?
Down power lines, don't get near it. Call 630-CITY. Any of those issues. You see flooding, don't stay in your home for now. Till you hear from us, as of midnight tonight, I would encourage you to stay in your home and continue to pay attention. Watch the news. I hope you have a battery-operated radio as a backup. Make sure you have your phones charged, all of the things that you're going to need to make sure that you can continue to be informed. To that end and that point, I want to thank the members of the media, all of you, for keeping our people informed on a regular basis.
Are there any plans to evacuate the jail?
I'm sorry?
Are there any plans to evacuate the jail?
No, we currently don't have any plans to evacuate the jail, so we have hurricane plans in place that address, obviously, taking care of the population there and the facility, but we will not be evacuating the jail.
With Baptist Hospital on the river, hospitals there, what is happening with that for emergency situations if somebody should have a problem? We know what happened at the beaches, at some of the hospitals, people were transferred. What's happening here in town?
Well, I know, Mike, you want to speak to the independent emergency transportation and gas? Wasn't there an authorization for private ambulances if they need
There
fuel?
was, it may be Kurt, I don't have that
Okay.
information.
So private ambulance companies, there's been an authorization if we need to fuel them. If they're a private ambulance company, there's plans to take care of that. Director, you want to speak specifically to hospitals and?
We've been monitoring closely the situation with healthcare facilities. Chief Wilson, I know perhaps actually from the rescue perspective might be good to to talk about kind of the plans you have in place and what we're doing at the fire stations.
Sure. Contingency plans are in place in the event that a hospital needs to evacuate either partial or full population. Whether they're private vendors or contractors, if they cannot handle that, then certainly the fire department will step in. Again, all depending on wind speeds, timing, things like that. So we have plans in place. We have mobile units that can hold up to 30 patients. We have those in place. So we expect to handle what comes at us.
I know it's going to be rough on rescue during the height of the storm, even probably starting tonight at midnight in the morning. Still, should they call a 911, or is there a time when they should?
Sure, absolutely. If you're experiencing a medical emergency, any type of emergency you feel like you need to call 911, we want to encourage you. We'll hold those calls, so they're not going to disappear. Once we have the ability to respond, we'll certainly do that. But understand, behind the scenes, we've built the department up logistically to a force we have not seen in decades. So we have a number of spare engines, spare rescues, ERAT teams, swiftwater rescue teams. We're ready to go.
Some people are asking about traveling in the morning. We know obviously that midnight time frame, people need to be hunkered down and wherever they need to be. Tomorrow, good idea to not even be on the road, right? At all.
That's right. That's exactly right. And I'm going to have JTA now speak to.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So JTA, we're going to continue our service for today and terminate around 1 o'clock, normal service hours. Tomorrow, no service for the JTA. Also, in terms of today's operation, we've suspended all fares. So JTA is free for the rest of the duration to closing this evening. And we plan to be prepared, I guess, on Saturday, if things look well, to resume service on Saturday. Skyway is out of service.